If you have not heard of the PayPal Mafia story, then you will find this video intriguing, inspirational, and memorable. They started as one of the first online processors. Today, they have grown to be much more than that, making 6 of its 7 members billionaires. So here are the interesting stories you probably didn't know about the PayPal Mafia. Despite what many might believe, the PayPal Mafia began with Palm Pilots, a specific brand of device also known as a PDA. The Palm Pilot is known as the second generation of Palm PDA and was launched originally on March 10, 1997. Before we had smartphones, we had the PDAs, which were known as handheld PCs that had the ability to connect to the internet, eventually becoming popular as the first precursors to smartphones. Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, the original creators of the PayPal Mafia, created technology that allowed person-to-person payments at the time back in 1998, something that was extremely hard to do otherwise. Sending money was so inconvenient due to the software limitations of the time, with you being limited to either cash or writing a check, and if you were far apart, you needed to send it through the mail, something extremely risky, as money could get lost on the way or even worse. With Peter Thiel and Levchin's idea, people could send money to one another through an app on their Palm Pilots, which made things incredibly easy and intuitive. Thiel graduated from college and began working as a lawyer before moving back to San Francisco to start a hedge fund. Another member of the Mafia, the famous Elon Musk, taught himself how to code around 10 years old, even developing the video game called Blaster and selling the code for $500. He also sold his first startup, Zip2, to Compaq for $307 million, of which he received $22 million. Elon Musk would go on to found X.com, which was an online bank, in November 1999. Confinity Inc. was created by Max Levchin, Peter Thiel, and Luke Nosek to incorporate this idea as part of a cryptography company, branding it as PayPal. Confinity's initial recruits were alumni from the Stanford Review. Others were early engineers from the University of Illinois, recruited by Levchin, and had early investors such as Nokia Ventures, Deutsche Bank, and the founder of Cybercash. Confinity launched PayPal in late 1999. Due to their similarities in goals, X.com and Confinity found themselves as rivals. Later, in March 2000, X.com merged with Confinity, its fiercest competitor, and went on to be called X.com. Musk became the company's biggest shareholder and was even appointed as its CEO. However, surveys showed that a majority of consumers considered the name X.com vague and potentially pornographic, and preferred that the company simply be called PayPal. However, Elon Musk was ousted as CEO due to issues with the company's branding. No one wanted X.com as a name, and many employees were upset due to Musk's stubbornness. Musk had left for a vacation and didn't realize what was about to happen. Executives threatened to resign from the board unless Elon Musk left as CEO. However, he remained the largest shareholder of the company and still earned a lot of money. After a corporate restructuring, the company adopted the name PayPal Inc. Peter Thiel was then instated as the CEO of the company. The company kept recruiting members through its founders network and then built itself somewhere where everyone felt connected. Since Thiel came from Stanford, they recruited heavily from there, hiring mostly their friends and people they were interested in working with. But PayPal later went public and got scooped up by eBay for $1.5 billion in 2002, netting Musk somewhere in the range of $160 to $180 million after taxes, which allowed him to go on and found his next companies. With PayPal gone, Peter Thiel, Levchin, and Nosek were left with a lot of experience regarding the creation of disruptor apps. Apps that do something new for the market and pique the interest of bigger companies who end up buying them, as was the case of YouTube, and as was the case of Musk's Zip2. Driven out by eBay's offer to buy PayPal, each went on to create their own startup and success in the tech industry, while keeping themselves connected through their original network of friends from PayPal. That's why it's called the PayPal Mafia. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with the kind of mafia you might be thinking about. Using the money he earned from the sale, Peter Thiel created a hedge fund, Clarium Capital, and was also joined by PayPal members Ken Howery and Andrew McCormack. Thiel would eventually invest in Facebook, who was just starting out, and even getting Reid Hoffman involved. Hoffman later created LinkedIn, which accepted investment money from Keith Rabbis and Peter Thiel. Elon Musk took his money from Zip2 to create Tesla Motors and SpaceX, though he relied on his network of friends from PayPal for ideas and funding. Though SpaceX is successful today, Musk failed 3 times straight from creating his cost-efficient space rocket and was almost completely drained of his money from SpaceX, though he was given both hope and additional funding through help from a former colleague from PayPal. During the summer of 2005, some friends in Silicon Valley came together for a backyard barbecue, which would cause a massive shift in the history of technology and the way people interact online. Jawed Karim, who worked as a computer science programmer, showed a website he was working on to Keith Rabbus, who was interested in his project. Rabbus contacted his friend Rolf Botha, who was a partner at the venture capital firm Sequoia Capital. Botha was so impressed that he arranged a meeting with Karim and other men that were working in the project. Sequoia ended up investing $3.5 million in the new website, which launched for all to use even though it already had a large number of visitors, at around 8 million per day. Google eventually realized this and bought the website for $1.65 billion, which would later be known as YouTube, where you're currently watching this video. Starting from a barbecue cookout idea to being the second most visited website in the world today, this one's not the only successful tech startup created by members of the PayPal Mafia. Despite original issues due to the company's branding, their network remained quite firm and allowed Peter Thiel, Hoffman, Musk and other members of the PayPal Mafia to remain acquainted and work with each other in several projects. On top of that, during the early 2000s, few funds and firms were investing on consumer-based tech startups, with the only ones being Sequoia, Peter Thiel and Reid Hoffman. For that reason, the PayPal Mafia both controlled the money and also shaped the ideas thanks to their experience. The philosophy and culture of the PayPal Mafia spread across the world, and while it didn't work directly on some ideas or companies, it still influenced them thanks to their experience. All of the members did exactly the same in different ways, creating consumer-based technology startups that even shaped the culture of Silicon Valley. Such was the influence of the PayPal Mafia that Silicon Valley completely changed to what it's known for today. And after billion-dollar companies setting themselves up in the roots of Silicon Valley, it's safe to say that the PayPal Mafia had a positive influence overall. It's important to note that the members of the PayPal Mafia didn't just leave PayPal and form a company right after, but they found new collaborators and expanded their network of friends thanks to the influence of the co-workers. Their situations forced them to find new teams, create new projects, and even join the teams of previous colleagues from the Mafia, with many working on multiple projects at once, founding a company, investing on another company, and giving advice to a third one. They were everywhere at once due to their massive networks of influence and co-workers. As you can see, the companies the Mafia has started or invested in are renowned, including LinkedIn, Yelp, Yammer, Kever, Plantier, Slide, Flickr, Dig, Mozilla, Tesla, SpaceX, and even Facebook. So, back to Karim and the YouTube co-founders. Steve Chen and Chad Hurley, along with friends Keith Rabbus and venture capitalist Rolf Botha, also worked on PayPal before it was bought by eBay for $1.5 billion back in 2002. What made PayPal so interesting to eBay that they decided to buy it as a whole in an instant? Most eBay users didn't have such a complex payment service that was also simple to use for customers. That's why eBay was so interested in buying PayPal. And that's where the Mafia first came together, as a united group, rather than individual members doing their own thing in different parts of the world. See? It all seems to fit in a certain pattern. All of the members of the PayPal Mafia come from different cultural backgrounds, socio-economic classes, and even some parts of the world. But they are all creators of disruptor apps that move fast and break things. They are great at making products explode in popularity and functionality. So, that's the story of how the PayPal Mafia shaped Silicon Valley and the whole tech industry. We hope you enjoyed this analysis.